Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Hi, Nicola here, and it's very quiet in Easy Street. All my neighbours seem to have gone back to England. It's sunny, as you can see, and it's still pretty hot in the sun, but we're getting quite torrential downpours and very big thunderstorms, which makes life quite exciting as you dash from one place to the next. Yeah, so it's been a really exciting week for me. My workshop's still filling up. I've just been pulled in by a mate to do some Facebook ads for him because he's got an event, a gamification event, in big one in Brighton in 2 weeks' time, and he just wanted to fill the remaining seats. So I've had a flurry of setting up Facebook ad campaigns for him, which reminded me how much I enjoyed doing that. So I think I might turn on the website for the turn on my own ads for Facebook ad campaign management again, because I really enjoyed doing this for him. What else is happening? I went to my Write Club meeting where we talked about setting up a writers podcast. Oh, the big news on that front is that I've had one of my short stories accepted by a writer who I really rate. That's Daphne Capsali, who lives on the Isle of Sifnos and wrote the fantastic 100 Days of Solitude. If you haven't read that, then I would certainly grab yourself a copy right now. She's an author of up-and-coming repute, that's for sure, so I'm absolutely thrilled that she liked my story. Right, let's get on with the show, shall we? People often say that successful people are the ones who do what other people are not prepared to do. And I totally agree with that, because I leapt out of bed this morning at 7 o'clock because I'd had an idea for my mate's Facebook ad campaign that I'm running for him. He's actually speaking at a big gamification event in Istanbul 2 weeks before his own event in Brighton. And it suddenly occurred to me that while I should be running ads to, all the usual suspects, like the people who've liked his page, the people who've watched his Facebook Live, the people who like gamification, and the people who like certain science fiction writers, the people who wear wearable technology, etc., it suddenly occurred to me that I should just be running ads as well to Istanbul city, because I'm just going to have to press on because I've got no more time to do this. So try and concentrate, okay? I will do my best as well. Yeah, so I got out of bed at 7 o'clock, ran upstairs and set all my ads to show in the city of Istanbul, so that everyone who's got any interest in gamification and who is at the event in Istanbul is very likely to see one of Pete's ads very shortly. Now, a lot of people would have said, oh, I only work from 9 to 5, and they wouldn't have done that. But I think it's really important, if you have a good idea, especially if it's a good idea for a client, to action it immediately before you forget it. So I do lots of things that most people wouldn't do. I do work occasional evenings and weekends, and I take time off during the week to make up for that. The other thing that people do, successful people, and I'm directing this to Phoebe particularly today, is they do things that they don't know is going to have any impact. She's got a list of people to contact, and it's quite a daunting job because it involves ringing people up and getting the right name of the person and the right email of the person she wants to speak to. And it is a daunting job, and you don't know if it's going to work, and it's really difficult to make yourself do a daunting job that you don't know is going to have any positive impact. But that's the kind of thing successful people do that unsuccessful people don't. I have often in the past just done things on a whim and it's turned into something absolutely fantastic. But if I actually sat and thought about it for any length of time, or thought about how scary it was, or thought about how it probably wouldn't work, I just wouldn't have done it. So what are you avoiding doing right now that you know might make a difference, but you're just not doing it? Can I encourage you to go and do that? Just break it down into manageable chunks. I said to her at one point, just call up and get the numbers, or just look at the websites to get the numbers. That's one job. Then just call up and get the name of the person and the email. Then the next day, email that person, and just take it into tiny chunks like that. There's a great expression that Steve Bartlett from Social Chain in Manchester uses, which I think sums this concept up brilliantly. It's that he says if you're trying to get fit and you eat one donut, it's not going to make much difference in the overall scheme scheme of things, but if you eat a donut a day, it is going to make a big difference. And this is exactly like doing social media for yourself. If you just do one ad, or if you just do one bit of content, it's not going to make much difference. But if you drip out really good quality content week by week, or even day by day, it's going to make a huge difference. It adds up to a big pile of donuts at the end of the year. And similarly, if you don't do things that, you know, say for example, if you are you've been used to eating a donut a day and you suddenly don't eat one donut, it's not going to make much difference in the big scheme of things. But if you didn't eat one donut a day that you previously had been for the next year, it would make a huge difference over time. So think about all the jobs that you're not doing, that you could be doing, that you think you ought to be doing, and then think about, well, what can I do every single day just to move this forward a little bit? And I do that. I get up every single day and I think, what can I do to move my business forward? Just one little thing. So I'm leaving you with the task of just finding that one little thing every day that will, added up over a year, would make a huge difference to your business. So on the blog this week, on the Vzine, episode 42, I'm talking about the two Be Everywhere Online clients who were going through the sort of mid-campaign slump. You may know that I encourage people to make 12 weeks worth of content in one sort of day, so that it's then done for the rest of the 3 months, and then they rotate the topics through the 12-week period. Both of these clients are having some stupendous results. One of my clients has attracted 2 £3,000 top-level clients, and she's pretty thrilled about that, as you can imagine. And the other one has just been called by the group editor of a very, very large radio station indeed. I'm just about to get on the phone with that client and find out what he wanted, and we can only assume he wants us to do some work, which will be pretty major. So yeah, they're both very excited. They're the only two who have gone through the whole 12 weeks so far of the Be Everywhere Online. Lots of other people have let life get in the way. In fact, life got in the way for me this morning, because I had this last minute Facebook ads campaign to set up for my client, and it was time sensitive, but I've managed to squeeze in the Vzine because my own content creation is equally important to me. On Own It episode 56, so that's Own It the podcast /156, we are debating the future of our own podcast. We've decided to keep it going, you'll be glad to hear, mainly because there was such an outcry from our Facebook group of loyal listeners. But what we're doing is we're asking all our listeners to share the podcast with one person, just because that will really help to grow the listenership, and that's the one thing, how we measure our success on the podcast. So if you are a listener, just share it with one person this week. That'd be really cool. Speak to you later. Chainsaw season has had, but life got in the way for me this morning, but I'm pressing on regardless. Life got in the way